Yeah, welcome back to another edition of the M365 Podcast. Today's guest brings a unique perspective to one of the biggest challenges facing your industry right now: how we build a successful career when AI is transforming everything around us. Sarah Jones has spent more than 20 years in recruitment and career coaching, helping technology professionals navigate the market shift, redundancy, career change, leadership transition, and the move into freelancing. She's particularly active in the Microsoft ecosystem, Power Platform, Dynamics 365, and AI communities. And she is passionate about helping people future proof their careers. Sarah also hosts a female focused podcast dedicated to amplify the voice of women in tech and exploring career growth in a rapid changing industry. Today, we will explore AI, layoff skills, freelancing, personal branding, Microsoft careers, and what a professional need to do right now to stay relevant over the next decade. Sarah, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yeah, you have so much more. I hope I picked the most relevant topics. But yeah,
I
can,
hope I can live up to that.
yeah, can you tell us about your background and how you end up specializing in technology recruitment and career coaching?
Yeah, sure. So I fell into recruitment, which is something you'll hear a lot of recruiters say. Accidentally, about I stopped counting at 20 years because it just made me feel old. So I started out because my sister worked in recruitment in Chester in England, and there was a job there, and I'd previously worked in sales. Then I was working in an admin role, and I was a bit bored. So yeah, I went and just worked on this industrial desk. So it was factories, warehouses, drivers. Really good fun. Really enjoyed it. But it's not particularly family friendly. It required out of hours, weekends, evenings, early mornings. So I decided to move. I actually went again to my sister who'd moved to Australia at this point. I went to her wedding, and she worked in IT recruitment in Sydney, and all these people that were there worked in IT recruitment, and they said, "Get into tech. You want to get into tech." So came back and I found a good, what looked like a good local technology recruitment agency close to me, and was terrified to speak to developers. This is all like .NET and um, mostly sort of digital transformation with we would call them end users, I suppose. Um, and I was like, I can't speak to a developer. They're going to know. They'll know I don't know what I'm talking about. But anyway, 7 years down the line working at that company, I was quite confident with that. But during lockdown was when I found the Microsoft community. So I already worked with a couple of Microsoft partners, but didn't know there was this thing out there. Um, I was recruiting for Dynamics developers and architects, and it was also always quite a tricky one to understand the detail of the tech for me. It didn't seem as straightforward as the pro code stuff, because of the client facing side of that role. So um, during lockdown, nobody was recruiting or looking for a job really, unless they'd been unfortunate enough to be between jobs at that time. So I just started doing these roundtable events around RPA technologies because I was working with Blue Prism, knew a bit about RPA. So we had about 6 people on this call talking about their journey of implementing automation, and then somehow found Power Automate. And then somewhere out of nowhere, a load of MVPs started popping up and coming and speaking. And then it continues now on a slightly different brand. But yeah, that's it. I think that's where I kind of got into the community space and specialised as a recruiter was when I found the community, felt very at home, very comfortable with the people in it. Um, yeah, so I kind of went further down that that focus on tech. More recently, yes, got into career coaching. It's very much the same as like what I would do as a recruiter, but totally independent, totally unbiased. I'm not being paid by a company to try and influence people into their company. I'm giving people my opinion, my advice on how to secure their next role. and I'm doing that on a freelance basis as well.
Yeah, this is awesome. This career shift. But let's talk a little bit about recruiters. What did you think is the biggest misconception, especially tech people have about recruiters?
I don't think people understand how recruiters get paid. And so I think that they can be treated as a bit of a sort of free service sometimes. This might upset some people because you will have a trusted recruiter that will make time for you and have a conversation throughout your career when you need it, or review your CV for you, or go over LinkedIn or make some friendly introductions. But recruiters, especially self-employed recruiters, don't get paid for about 90% of their time. It's all worked at risk that they might get paid by the company that's asking them to go and find the people that they want. That company can change their mind through the process. They can pull vacancies. So, all the while you're working really hard to try and fulfill that requirement you've been given. Um, so there's that. Even if you're working in a recruitment agency, you're under strict high targets. Usually there's some greedy business owner that's wanting to know where their next check is coming from. And then if you've got kind of people in the job market that are asking just for a chat, are you free to catch up? That's really costing you the opportunity to fill the work that you've got that might pay you. And I've seen so much recently on LinkedIn of people that are open to work, they've got a green banner on, and they're frustrated. And I totally understand that they're finding the job market tough, but the blame is going to the recruiters who, I don't know how they're responsible for this. They haven't got time to just pick up and have a chat with anybody, just to be nice. And they will, the good ones will make a certain allowance for that. Every week there will be an allocation of time that they will make to just kind of do that and help people out and pay back. Um, yeah, that's something I'm noticing more and more, and it's another reason why I do some of the things that I do, is to go, here's some access. It's not expensive, but you can actually get access to that knowledge and information, if you want to.
And what motivates you most when you're helping someone, I say transform their career?
I think that there are different things that it's always a success story really with a candidate, or now I would refer to a client, if they've managed to turn around the whole kind of job search process. And I have done it recently with someone I've known for years. He came to me, we did some work on his CV. Because I knew this guy as well, I knew what he was really good at, and it wasn't articulated on his CV or his LinkedIn. His interviews were increased and he ended up getting a job. Um, so that was great because he was getting quite down about it. And again, that kind of thing that I've just mentioned that we're seeing with people kind of just feeling frustrated and like the job market is totally against them. We made some changes, and that really turned out well for him. The other thing that the freelancing network that we've got as well, in there, out of nowhere, somebody will just drop in a comment that they've done something successful, and then we'll get a whole conversation with everybody chipping in, saying how they've had some wins this week, this month, and again, seeing something that you believe in working out successfully is really nice. So yeah, get a kick out of that too.
Yeah, I think actually, especially everywhere this topic, but especially when people think about their career, we talking about AI. How different is this disruption compared to previous technology waves?
So do you mean a job search
Yeah,
or
uh, especially for when people, I think a lot of people say, I think there it's one thing all say, you are XYZ, lose their job when they don't use AI, and so on. That's a little bit, How did you think is the job market and career building change in to other technology waves we had?
I think that the next 6 to 12 months is going to be very telling about that. I don't think anyone could give a straight answer. We do see that big companies are making mass layoffs because there's a spreadsheet at the top somewhere saying we've got AI now, get rid of people, and a lot of those companies are having to rehire. Um, Whether it's hiring the same skill set in again or not is another story. But I do think that the ones that have jumped into making those big cuts are making a mistake. I also think that people with their head in the sand, not thinking that AI is going to change things, are going to have a bit of a shock at some point. I think we need to try and stay ahead of the game. Everybody's talking about it. There's podcasts, there's access to things online. Even on Instagram now, I'm getting offered like Claude memberships and trainer memberships and things like that. So there are lots of resources out there. They're not all expensive to get some training and some support on keeping your AI skills up to date. I am involved in a user group in Manchester centered around AI, and we have a lot of students that will come to those events too. And you see the same kind of deflated thing. How are we supposed to get AI skills if we can't get a job? There's loads of ways you can practice using AI in your own time, automating things at home, just playing around with it. I think will help you to become more kind of native and familiar and adopt it in a work setting, and hopefully future proof yourself against, you might have the same skills as somebody else next to you. If they've got good AI intuition, then they might have a better chance. Having said that, this is kind of a bit of a flip flop, because I do think people's skills are more important than ever. I think you're going to have to be able to articulate your value in your role more, and clients still want a human in the loop, and they want reassuring that they can trust the AI, so they're going to need that human that they trust to confirm that we're doing everything properly. So communication skills are important. AI isn't taking that away.
And to your other skills, there are becoming more important through the age of AI. Uh, you say communication. Are there other skills?
Are there other skills? What do you mean, sorry?
Yeah, if people, what are the skills companies searching for that's changed through, I think, AI, say communication? There are new skills, or is there a shift in the skills people need to be, interesting for getting hired as freelancer or in a company?
So I think that there's two answers. There's the permanent job market, and I remember seeing all of a sudden an AI solution architect job title, and I was like, okay, what's that? Because actually, when you look at the job description, it's dynamics or something. But the buzzword is AI. It's in a lot of the job titles, job descriptions now. But the really, if you're working for a Microsoft partner, they've still got the same clients they had before. They're probably still delivering a huge project. If it's an enterprise client with, say, a government or something like that, not much will have changed. They will probably be looking at Copilot as well. Um, Everywhere's different. There are more startup firms and more that are sort of technology, leading in technology and in delivering AI projects. But I think really, in the main, jobs are similar now, permanent wise, but you will probably be asked more how you're using Copilot, what you're using AI to do as part of your job, and how you're making sure that you're doing your job properly at the same time. Is ChatGPT writing all of your documents? And if so, are you checking it? Does it sound like ChatGPT's written it? How good are you at prompting? That kind of thing is something that will keep evolving. Freelance, I think, is very different. I think that the tools that you can use now to automate your work, I live with a Power Pages freelancer, and he's kind of, him and Claude, honestly, inseparable, right? Because there's all these rabbit holes to go down. What can I do? What skills can I build? Constantly building skills that make the work more scalable. And that's been really interesting. So I've personally seen a huge shift in how a freelancer will use AI, because there's nobody kind of You don't need to be online 9 to 5 and ticking a task list off for your manager. This is kind of, there's a lot more autonomy around it, and so it's going to be more profitable, I think, for freelancers who are really getting stuck in with AI.
And there are also skills, I say, yeah, they are becoming less valuable through AI.
Uh, I mean, yeah, I think that there's going to be the things that you can just use it, like repeating yourself, writing documents over and over again, or um, huge kind of mathematical analysis of data. That there's going to be things that you don't need to do anymore. The kind of mundane tasks that people don't like doing. I think that's the main thing, is we can take those boring bits away from people now and let them focus on the interesting stuff, research or dealing with customers. So, but yeah, I think for now, in my opinion, and I don't and always feel like really uncomfortable claiming to be any kind of expert in this. I just say what I see, I just kind of listen to what people have got to say and regurgitate it. So yeah, I think there's going to be those repetitive tasks that we don't need to do anymore. It's going to be the main
Yeah.
thing. But I think there will be, as AI increases productivity as it is doing, there's going to be a need for more work. So then sales will be important, and account management, and finding more work to pay, especially in a traditional kind of Microsoft partner, or in a permanent team. You're going to need more things to do if you're going to employ those people for the same amount of hours.
Mm. And there are these, I think, new trend, these ATS systems. When you searching for a job, what did you think about these ATS?
So they're not new. ATS systems, ATS have been around for a long time. And I had this conversation last week with a group of people, hiring managers and people who design systems, and we had a bit of a debate about it, because my advice would always be to somebody getting their CV together and their LinkedIn together, is bear in mind that somebody who's a generalist recruiter, or somebody who maybe in their first job doesn't understand the technology, and will have a list of words that they need to find on your profile to then know that you're right for the job. That might be the depth of the knowledge that they've got. So you've got to have that keyword search working for you. So the same applies with AI. If AI is screening that system now for words, the words have to be there. The context then needs to be selling you to the hiring manager, who does know what they're talking about, does understand the technologies. But I don't think that if the ATS is working properly, and again, that's another story, isn't it? Because if they are missing things, if the searches aren't working properly, then that's a system issue. Um, but yeah, the words need to be there to be found, whether it's by AI or an apprentice who's working in a talent team. If you're going to be found, everything starts with some sort of search. They are getting a lot of slack because there's a lot of just automatic replies going out from um, these systems. But it's hard, because you see a job advertised on LinkedIn and you can see 300 applications, 400, 500. It makes sense to use tools to search through that and find the right people. You do find that the people that are applying might not hit the criteria that they've been asked to tick yes or no. Um, that might still not be correct when those applications are coming through. So we have to automate. But I think that there's onus on the candidate to make sure that the information is there and findable through a search tool, and that the companies are just checking that those systems are working properly, and just maybe do a little bit of a stress test on it and see if there's anything that's slipping through the net, because it is happening. It's happening for sure, but it always has. The other bit of advice I would give on that, actually, if anybody is listening to this and is finding that they're not getting, they feel like they're right for the job and they're getting rejected, as you're tracking these applications, follow up with whoever it is, find people in that company, the head of the department you're applying to.
Mm.
Sometimes you can see on the advert who the hiring manager is, whether it's the manager of the talent team or the person in the talent team, or somebody in the hiring team, and follow up, not constantly, just maybe as you put your application in, hey, I've just applied for this, just thought I'd flag it because these are the reasons I think I'm great for the role,
Mm.
um, and detail them, and follow up maybe 3 to 5 days. Oh, hey, just wondering if that's landed. Um, that might just, if you have slipped through the net, it might just catch you.
Mm. Okay, I think that's an interesting tip. I should try it out.
Yeah.
um, especially Microsoft professionals think of how should they think about Copilot, AI agents, and automation?
How should Microsoft partners think of them?
Yeah, professionals or people they're in the Microsoft space.
I mean, when you're in the Microsoft space, it's kind of all you hear about, isn't it? At any event you go to, it's kind of, Copilot and agents and um, governance, and it's, you can't move for it if you're involved in these things. I think you have to accept it, especially if you're a professional and a Microsoft partner, because you're selling those services. And I think, possibly more so than Canvas apps now, and it's kind of evolving. This is where you need to be. So yeah, if you're in Microsoft space, absolutely. Um, I've been to a few events recently in Manchester that are non-Microsoft events, and
Mm.
that's really interesting. And I would recommend anybody to do the same thing, because yes, we need to keep up to speed with Microsoft technologies, and absolutely, I keep going to the Microsoft events too. But it's there was just something a bit different, a bit more like big wide world about going to these things that aren't, there's no Microsoft partners selling you anything. Microsoft aren't selling you anything. It's AI experts, professors from universities, startup companies using AI. There's one I went to in Manchester, with this company that are making vertical farms, and they're using AI, and the vegetables they're producing are hugely nutritious, and they're vertical, so they're not taking up less ground space. That was really interesting. I thought no one would ever say that at a Microsoft event. We wouldn't have a speaker like that at a Microsoft event because he's not using Microsoft to do it. Oh gosh, I'm going to team Stephen. So so yeah, I found that really interesting. Um, Sorry, my Teams is trying to do something in the background. Um, yeah, and the other thing is kind of understanding that the physical side, the data centers that they're bringing to our local area here, and the cloud services and the different things that have an impact on the big wide world of AI, not just inside the Microsoft ecosystem. So yeah, I'd encourage people to go and look outside of it.
And yeah, I think a little bit about one topic. I think it's not really new, but we have this personal branding. I think it's become increasingly important, especially in the times of AI. What tips can you give here?
It's something that I advocate for. I coach people on as well as part of the freelancing course, which is Extra Life that I run with Franco Musso. And um, part of that is the personal brand thing. I think if anyone's considering freelance at any point, that personal brand is important. It's where you'll get referrals from. It's where you're known as the expert in your field. If you think of kind of, there's like Parvez Gumra's ALM, Franco is Pages. There are these individuals that if somebody came to you with a project with those words around it, you would refer those people, and that's because they're vocal, they support other people, they are at conferences, they speak at conferences, they appear on podcasts and things, and they're kind of teaching. It's almost selling without selling as well. You kind of positioned as the expert when you get the opportunity to talk at an event, but also you can demonstrate like business value. I remember, and this is where the course came from, was seeing Franco do a session in Scotland, and there was people in the room that had huge power platform projects, like huge financial services companies, and I knew who they were. I'm a recruiter, I'm a salesperson, so I'm like, okay, there's these people in the room I want to speak to. And on stage, Franco is talking about the impact on the customer, the impact on the business, and the impact on the users in the teams, and what that all meant. Why would it be worthwhile to kind of go down this road? And I was like, that's really clever. And he didn't know he was doing it. There was a queue of people at the end of the event waiting to talk more to him. And I said, oh, that was clever. And he's, oh, I wasn't, because it was so habitual to him to talk in that way. So, yeah, personal brand is it's about trust, but having a platform to speak on, and then also demonstrate what problems you can solve for people in public. So for freelancers in particular, I think that's quite important. And people who aren't sure where to get started, even just posting on LinkedIn or YouTube, following others and commenting and supporting others' content as well. You can make friends quite quickly in this space if you're supportive and have the right attitude, and that will help massively. I don't think it's as essential for permanent employees working directly for companies. It does help. I was at an event last week and my friend had like 4 people approach her about a job, different opportunities in the permanent world. So it helps for sure, but definitely for freelancers.
Yeah, and we have their link, and how important are social networks today? I think especially LinkedIn, but there are other, I don't know, TikTok or what's, I don't know, Facebook and so on. What did you think about social media for freelancers?
I'm kind of stealing this from people that I've been speaking to recently in our world who there's so far that LinkedIn's got them, and I can resonate with this as well. LinkedIn gets you so far, but actually YouTube seems to be really successful for people um, if they want. People that kind of sell courses and things, seem to be finding that they're getting more traction through their YouTube content now. To LinkedIn, I don't know much. I'm a bit old for TikTok and those other platforms. I don't see much business. Although, like I say, I do have an Instagram account and I keep getting offered Claude courses. But yeah, I think that YouTube seems to be particularly successful for people posting useful content. Again, you don't need to be selected to speak at an event, do you? If you're on YouTube and you've got good searchable um, kind of words in there, so if someone's searching, how do I, whatever the thing is, you should be able to come up in a Google search or a YouTube search. Whereas
And
LinkedIn, it's like what you get posts like 3 weeks after it's been posted, don't you? You might kind of see a post about an event, and then you're like, oh, well, that happened last week. So you can't. I don't find it as easy to search things on LinkedIn as you can on kind of Google or YouTube.
mm, and what are the 3 things I think listeners could do this week to improve their professional visibility?
I mean, that's quite an individual thing depending on what they're doing. But my advice would be firstly, look over your LinkedIn profile. Photo is good. If you don't have a photo, I'd get that on there. Does it show clearly who you are and what you do, what you want to be known for? And that's from the content, the information about your work history, and any engagement posts that you're putting out there, comments that you're putting on other people's posts. That's all easily visible. If you apply for a job through the normal way with your CV, 9 times out of 10 at least, someone's going to look at your LinkedIn profile. So make sure you do that. His CV has one job, and that's to get you an interview. So don't assume you'll get the interview and you'll get to give more detail. Don't try and keep it to one page for the sake of it looking nice. I don't get it. I don't see how people working in consultancies that have got huge project experience can get that onto one page. Like, you want the story. And again, it's a debate I had last week with the hiring manager. He said, I only need to know what you've done over the last few months. And I said, no, that's not true, because you need to know, as this person come from a consultancy background, what types of clients have they been working with? All of that story, that whole background brings people to where they are today. So the most recent project might be most relevant, but what's the rest of the story? And just make sure that there's some context there. I mean, don't go wild. Like, 2 pages is great, 3 pages, okay, if you've got a lot to say. Um, and yeah, I think the other thing I would just say, keep active. You might not like putting yourself out there. You don't have to guest on people's shows. You don't have to particularly write posts or articles, but at least read others and engage with those people and just start building out your own network. If you go to a local user group or an event, speak to someone, go and join a group of people, speak to someone standing on their own. Feedback on other people's content. If you follow somebody's blogs or whatever it is they're putting out there, tell them what you think and why, in a kind and constructive way, of course. But that'll help visibility, it'll help referrals, it'll help you to start to push your network out.
Yeah, I often see they're looking at GitHub, and then I thought, oh, this is an awesome product. No one knows it, or nearly no one knows it. And then I'd ask the people on LinkedIn, hey, come in my show, let's talk. But there are a lot of, I say, especially, I don't know, in other I come from marketing and e-commerce, but in tech, there are, I say, a lot of introverts
Mm.
people. um, how can these build a strong professional presence without really, or what tips can you give them to be more open, or build, their strong presence?
I think if you're an introvert, you have to be careful of your energy and where you're focusing, where you're using it up. Um, I know people who are introverted, who will go and just like run away at the end of an event, even when people are trying to talk to them about business, because they're just absolutely drained. So you do have to kind of know yourself and your own limitations, and that's kind of why I say you don't have to create your own content if you don't want to. If that's just not in your interests, then engage with others. You might find that creating your own content and just putting it out there helps get you visible, but you don't have to be kind of vocally active and be at places and events and online with people all the time. I think you have to do what's right for you. It can take over, and I see it with many. I've been around a little while now, and I've seen a lot of new MVPs come into this space. It's really, really hard for sometimes a year, sometimes 3 or 4 years, get their MVP, and then they disappear because they've just gone into about 1 million WhatsApp groups, and there's so much going on, and they're trying to keep up with the admin of being an MVP, and then they just burn out and stop. So I really think it's important to understand how much time and energy you've got, work backwards from that. If you can manage an hour a week, great. If you can manage like 3 or 4 hours a week and that works for you in your life, then yeah, go for it. But I think the worst thing is burning out and disappearing because you tried to do too much too quickly, and it's taken over, and then it fizzles out for you. I've seen it quite a few times.
And my last LinkedIn question is, from your recruiter perspective, are there, I say, common mistakes you see people do with their profile? I say, what's a no-go for recruiters?
Um, I think looking like being negative, coming back to what I said earlier about the recruiters that are getting the blame for people struggling for work, I think that's instantly going to make you look like you're difficult to deal with. And I hate to say it, but it's true. Like, you would look and think, okay, this person's really negative. They're not being very constructive. If this is what happens when you come into a difficult situation, then that might give a signal that that's how you are to work with. And I know it sounds really thoughtless, but I'm here to be honest, and that's what I think. So I just say, if you're struggling, just try and keep positive, um, be kind, and make sure that people, when you're putting yourself out there, that people see what you want them to see. And I think if you really think about that, who am I? What am I really good at?
Mm,
And what do people like me for? What do my friends and family say about me? It's kind of how do you get that across, that personality across on your public profile, um, and try and just stick to your own values. Don't let frustration get the better of you, for sure. Certainly not publicly. Confide in somebody, speak to somebody, that shout into your pillow in your bathroom. Whatever it is you
mm,
you're doing to vent. But I think doing it publicly online is not um, it's not going to help you
mm.
look like a positive person.
Yeah, I often have this problem. There are, I don't know, people, they have these special kind of post. I don't know, and they do a lot of this, but they're really successful. What fish and chips told me about my career, and so on, and I wondering, yeah, do people like this kind of posts? I don't know.
I
Yeah.
think, I don't know. It can LinkedIn can be a bit of a weird place, can't it? And the things that come up. Mine's very community event heavy, and that's the sort of thing that I engage in. So it's always to do with a conference or something. That sort of stuff comes up on my feed. I don't get too much of the things that I would say uh, like, yeah, not kind of nonsense. Uh, so yeah, but there is stuff like that out there, isn't there? I know. Yeah, and on Twitter as well. Is I don't go on Twitter or X, sorry, as it is. There's some really random stuff that comes up. Just don't read it. And I also don't read the posts that start with a chat GPT type sentence, like most people, or whatever it is, that the language. If it clearly looks like AI, I'll probably just scroll straight past it, because I think, oh, I know you haven't even written it, so don't stop.
Mm. Yeah, you have say, or let's speak about your freelance course. Can you tell us a little bit about your course, and why are more people considering freelance careers from your perspective?
I think it's interesting, the course, because we've got people at different stages of their career in there. So we've got people that are um, already up and running as freelancers, that want to be part of a community, because it can be quite lonely if you're working for yourself and you don't have that team. So we've got people from kind of that and are already in it. We've got people that are contracting. We've got people that are working in permanent role and doing a side gig here and there. And then there are people that may be aspiring to freelance in the next 12
Mm,
months onwards, really. And how do they start building that personal brand? So it's all about, firstly, there's a self-paced course which takes you through content marketing and how to create a personal brand,
mm,
demonstrate your business value in what you do. Then there's other things about kind of being scalable. How can you reuse your work? Can you put it into like a training, like into a course? If
mm,
you're building things anyway, can you then sell that in another way? And maybe keep your own code snippets and things like that, so you're reusing the work that you've done. It might make the next project much shorter. So that's all the Franco stuff, that's how to kind of build that scalable freelance business. My side in it is the kind of the marketing and the sales side. So what does traditional business development look like? Um, how do you get repeat business? As you kind of build that flywheel of work, it should get easier and easier as your career goes on, if you keep getting repeat customers coming back. So that's the course. And then as part of the community, we have a monthly call where we kind of go through. So currently we're in that sales bit. So it's kind of on me to maybe talk through some sales techniques and the way you can pitch yourself, um, And when someone asks you at a conference, so what is it you do? Answering that question with a nice, clear answer that makes somebody consider wanting to work with you. And then, yeah, we've got kind of a podcast within the course with successful freelancers at different levels. There's some that are running their own practices, and there are some that are business of one, like Nick Dolman, Parvez. So they want to be a business of one. They're not building a business. But then we have got other people that run Microsoft practices talking about their journey, how they operate too. So it's not just the one. It's not just this is how Franco does it. This is how I would do it. This is how other people have done it as well. So it gives different perspectives too. And then, yeah, we've got a lovely WhatsApp group where everybody's just cheerleading and supporting each other and passing some leads on through there as well for work. So yeah, it's nice. It's something. It's one of the things that we talked so much about last year, and we worked so hard on getting the content right and figuring out like what we thought was right, and then we're like, God, is it just us that believe in this, or is it actually going to work? And we're growing. It's growing steadily into a bigger community, and I think that's going to be the most valuable thing in the end. But yeah, it is. It's really nice when the group starts going off and people are talking about wins that they've had. That's really, really nice. So yeah, it's cool. So it's called Extra Life anyway, but happy to give more information if people get in
Yeah.
touch.
So the links are in the show notes, so the people can check this out. Um, is there any or yeah any myth about freelancing you see people or no I don't like is there something what people think wrong about starting with freelancing?
Oh, I see. Okay. Um, yeah, I think that a lot of techies don't like sales, and so this part of
Mm,
where this came from was okay. Is a developer or an architect going to turn into a business development person overnight, um, or can they skip out that hard business development thing that the sales team normally does for them and approach things in a different way? And so yeah, the obstacle we get from most people is either I don't know where I find my business from, and I think that's fair. So we're trying to teach how you do that. Um, the other one is I don't have a niche or I don't know how to find my niche. So
mm,
that's another thing that we go through in the course and on the community calls. Um, as a misconception, though, I don't know. I think that you can kind of manage it how you want to, really. It doesn't mean you have to start a Microsoft practice. You don't have to build a huge business out of it. You can kind of run it how you want. I would say taking on work that you can't do or you shouldn't be doing, saying no is quite a big skill to have. So not just kind of I can do anything and then getting into a mess. And I have seen that back in my recruitment days where freelancers have taken on work they shouldn't have taken on and really done some damage to the client. I suppose the one thing is the difference between contract and freelancing. That'll probably be a useful answer to this question as I'm thinking out loud. Um, so if for a contractor, you would have a recruiter who goes out and gets your work for you. So they do the business development and then they will take a cut out of the end client's budget for that. So if you're on £500 a day, the recruiter is probably charging six fifty to that client, but they've done all the business development, they're taking all the risk on paying you. You'll definitely get paid, especially in the UK. I'm not sure on the laws elsewhere. But you've got that sort of security. You're probably on a 3 or a 6 month contract, and you will be required to be online like a full timer, like a permanent employee. With the freelance side of things, you'll be charging your day rate, you'll be putting it through your own limited company, and you have to find your own work, really. You don't often have recruiters out there finding the work for you. You can, again, in the UK, we've got IR35. If you're outside IR35, technically you are considered a freelancer. You have to um, you manage your own time basically, which is why you can work 2 or 3 projects at any one time. You could work weekends if you prefer. You could work at night time, and and work to the time of day that works for you, or the time of year, as Franco would say. He takes a lot of time off in the summer, but then he'll work right through winter when he's not interested um, in the weather outside. So it's about freedom for me personally. It's about creative freedom, being freelance, not having to do just what somebody's telling me to do, rinse and repeat, do this. When you've got other ideas and you can see the market shifting, you can follow it and you can go after the sort of work that you want. Contracting is a nice step into that because you can kind of learn some skills along the way and kind of build up a little bit of extra cash in the bank, especially if you can do some contracts on as a side hustle alongside your permanent role. So I hope that answers your question. I went around the houses a bit there, but
But did you think there is I think, the right time moment to start with freelancing? Have you there any idea?
do you know what? Most people we interview on the Extra Life podcast, we've kind of asked them that question, like, how did you get into it? And they've usually fallen into it through redundancy. They always quite wanted to go freelance, but then they were made redundant and they just kind of went for it anyway. Um, I think like most people want enough money, and I think if you can do it with enough money for 6 months of not earning, then great. If you can save that up through some side gigs as a contractor, that's that's a good time to start. Because if you've got to pay the bills, you've got to pay the bills. So I wouldn't encourage anybody to kind of just quit your job tomorrow and leave if you can't afford to do the freelance thing. But yeah, people often kind of put it off, and then it happens to them, and they do tend to look back.
And I think a little about, yeah, you have to talk to all these successful freelancers in your podcast. Um, what separates, yeah, successful freelancer from them, their struggle?
I think confidence grows as time goes on with freelancers. There are some that we know that maybe have less confidence than others. They've massively got the ability and they know what they should and shouldn't do, but it might take them a little bit longer to kind of get there and get it done. That there's another friend of ours, very good friend of ours, who kind of spent 3 months building a website, which actually that there was things wrong with it. Kind of, I'm going to build this website myself, and then the feedback was not great on that. When that person switched into what's my story, how do I pitch myself, when people ask me what I do, that totally flipped everything upside down and the business started coming in. So focusing on getting your messaging right is really important. And I also think like when you get busy
Mm-hmm.
doing the doing, so you win the work, you've got a contract running, or you've got an agreed deal as a freelancer running, and then you're not keeping an eye on business development, you're not going out and trying to find more work, then you end up starting again trying to find the next one when that one's ended. So you have to always be keeping an eye on building your pipeline of work for the next bit.
Yeah, I think the pipeline topic is interesting. So a lot of people have, especially when they start, they have no, I say, showcases. Um,
Mm.
how, yeah, should they build their first client pipeline?
So I think again, if you can get some side gigs on, and I see lots of people doing this, have lots of conversations about this, of side gig alongside your permanent role, um, definitely will start to build up a little bit of a client base for you. Case studies as well, and you can write a case study about freelance or contract work, but there's nothing stopping you writing a case study about something you've done in a permanent job as well. It doesn't. You can take if it's private, you can take out details that would identify who the client was, but you can still talk about, what did you do, what was the problem, what was the goal, what was your input, what's the outcome of that situation, and tell that story about what it is you're really good at and how you added value in that situation. So start telling stories like that, where you're solving people's problems in front of them. Um, it can be difficult for people to do side hustles alongside a permanent job, but it's definitely the best way to start building up a client base if you can do that. And having a conversation, if you're at events, asking people as well, or at the end of a session, I'm available for work. This is how you find me.
Mm,
Um, it doesn't have to be a huge pitch, but if you've done a good job at showing what you can do, get your details out there. And if you're not speaking, because I know the organisers are like just hammered with people submitting sessions at all of these events, go to other people's, start the conversations. You actually don't need to be on the agenda to get some
mm.
value out of these things. Um, so yeah, and getting some content out there again that can be found, searchable. You know about SEO, right? If you've come from a marketing background. So yeah, just
Yeah,
making sure it can be searched.
yeah. I actually I'm seeing a geo specialized optimizing for LLMs my content. That's what I do especially, and I see that's really interesting. So I had last week. I have one day with 30,000. Yeah, answers in Copilot in one day. So I think, yeah, you have a lot of doing a lot of calls for getting all these yeah, to be, I don't know, to get a part of these answers. Um, yeah, but there it's another really interesting topic you have, and that's the women in technology stuff. So we have started this podcast. Can you tell us a little bit about this podcast and why have you started this?
Yeah, so I do online events, and I've always encouraged speakers and female speakers. I always found needed to build up a little bit of trust first. Not all, but there's a handful that will kind of throw the sessions, that will speak at anything, and I'm really happy to, and that's great. But then I'm fascinated by people and how they behave and why they do things. So I kind of look for these things, and I found that there is many females that I'd get to know, and then they say, "Oh, I'd really love to get into this, but they don't know how." Or, even the people that you wouldn't think are humble, they are when they don't like bragging, they don't really like talking about what they've done. They feel like, "Oh, it wasn't perfect though. I don't have 100% of the skills for this." So it's kind of always been quite nice to cheerlead and kind of nurture people onto a platform that feels like a safe space to talk. Um, and really, so with the Misfits podcast, me and my friend Sophia, we met each other at a Scottish summit, and hit it off immediately. Like, she was just so much fun, wanted to get involved in community. And I was like, well, with a personality like yours, it's got to be a podcast. Like, you've got to be, she's bubbly and fun and lovely. She also has two very young children and a busy job. So there's no pressure on us we don't have a set cadence for it. We we've got people that we've interviewed like Meg Smith and Rosie Jurovich and Janet Robb and Sharon Smith, and we've interviewed these people to help promote brilliant women and help encourage other women out of the woodwork that maybe don't have the confidence to come out, because they're getting to know these people on a bit more of a personal level. So we enjoy it. We love getting to do something together. It's very much a sort of hobby. We hope that it empowers the women that we interview, and we really hope that it empowers the women that listen and see that we're all just a bit of a misfit. Like, we're all a bit bonkers, and that's okay. And that's where we came up with the name. So yeah, it was just a safe space, and I hope that it has positive impact on some people. It certainly does on me and Sophia, and we're happy enough with that.
And what challenges are women are tech in technology still facing today? Would you say?
That's a big question. I think women still often look at the board, the C-suite, the senior management as largely male. There is a lack of diversity in leadership teams often, not always, but often there is. Um, and I think that's a bit of a problem. Women are leaving tech, they're leaving tech careers, and that's the problem. And I think part of it is feeling like they're not heard. Um, some companies that are really active in diversity and they genuinely want to be diverse, they're doing the right things to promote and support people internally. I don't believe in token woman here, I don't believe in that. If somebody said to me guaranteed an interview because you're a woman, I would be really offended. And I've seen that from recruiters and companies that are approaching people on LinkedIn saying, "Oh, you're a woman, you'll get an interview." Like, excuse me, quite good at my job actually. Thank you. So I think that attitude is a bit of a box ticking one. Like, okay, yeah, we need to get our numbers up and match a percentage figure. If you're genuinely actively um, treating women in a way that you want them to succeed, you want their perspective around the table because it's different. We've all got a different perspective, and the more diverse that table looks, then the the um, the better the outcome, I think, for everybody. And so yeah, I think that the companies that are kind of fudging it by just trying to hit figures set by the head of HR is not great. I don't think that. And some are just totally oblivious. There are some that are still just a boys' club. You'd think it was still the 90s, and this is how it's okay to behave. And so yeah, so I see that as a problem. It's a huge question, and there's lots that we can do. I think we need male allies. We want men who want women to succeed without taking credit for it. Just actually being there and being supportive. But it starts at the top, and I think diversity at the top will feed through businesses and make people feel more supported.
I really found it really hard to get women to my podcast, so I ask a lot. A lot of say, yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I need to have to, I don't know, to change
You'll
something.
get you'll get some that'll just say yes. Like I'm quite happy to go and promote. I believe in being out there and being visible. Like it's something that I teach. But so there's many women that want to build a bit of trust first, and you have to have a conversation. It's not just, oh, hey, you're recording a lot of these, and so like keeping up that like guest slot filled must be quite hard. Um, but yeah, I think with women it's kind of, hey, how are you? It's having a conversation, finding out a bit more about them, and and going down that road. Rather, they won't often put the hand up. It's the same applying for jobs as well. And this is another thing, again, getting women in tech. I don't hit 100% of the things on that job description, which was probably written by ChatGPT or Copilot, and actually isn't all exactly what the hiring manager would tell you if you asked them what they want. Uh, so but that's how women are. Whereas a man, not, and this is hugely generalising, often men will go, I'll learn the rest on the job. I'll just go for it. It is like, quite a common difference, and women just need a bit more of a personal touch, I think, sometimes.
Yeah, thank you. So, I and every round I have this, yeah, every session I have this rapid fire round. So I ask a question and you say what's come in your mind. So
Okay.
really
Pretty
simple.
dangerous.
LinkedIn or network events?
Say that again.
The LinkedIn or network events?
Networking events.
Power Platform or Dynamics?
Dynamics.
Biggest career mistake people make?
Oh, maybe react, jump around too much, be flattered easily.
The best career invest under £100.
The best what, sorry?
The best career invest under £100.
Oh wow. Possibly a LinkedIn license.
uh, and is there one person everyone should follow, especially in tech?
In our community.
Yeah.
Oh, one person. I mean, I love Sean Ashtrahan. I think he's a great trainer, and he's teaching a lot. He's doing a lot of things for free at the moment around AI. And I think if you want to increase your skills in AI, then there's some free resource there. And he really, really cares about what he does. So yeah, Sean Ashtrahan.
What's the best dish you can eat in England?
What's the best? What dish?
Dish.
The best dish I've eaten in England. Oh, do you know what? We're really good cooks in this house. I made a great roast dinner yesterday.
And when you can travel back in time and meet your uh, Sarah that starts her career, what will she most exciting about today, Sarah?
Oh gosh, do you know I've made that mistake? The advice I gave earlier of reacting to just what's around, and kind of maybe not planning so much. The advice I give to people about planning your next 2 to 5 years, I didn't really do that. So it's been interesting, but I think it would look different if I if I'd taken my own advice back then.
Awesome. So, yeah, then my closing question is, when people should remember one thing from this session, what should it be?
I think listen, we've all got opportunities, and I remember Mark Smith saying, talking about rules once and following, the line that the world wants you to follow. Um, and in their house, that is bullshit rules, and it's something that we've adopted in our house. Is actually why we're doing that. Is it because the man wants us to do it, or actually can we make our own choices and take control and have a little bit of freedom? And at 41 years old, I have discovered that actually, yeah, I don't have to do what some, some bloke wants me to do, is making a lot of money out of me. I can actually make my own choices and make the work I do interesting and spread some love and hopefully a little bit of fun around at the same time. And the opportunity is there to do it. And I think more and more than ever, it's going to get more accessible with AI to make enough money, to freelance, make money, have a lifestyle, you know, do the things that you want to with your family. If it's picking the kids up, dropping them off at school, that's valuable. That it doesn't have to be that you earn loads of money as a freelancer. It can be that you can just drop everything and take the kids to the dentist, or go for a dog walk, or if you're feeling stressed, go for a run and come back and just work a bit later that day. Have that freedom and flexibility. And that's all of that is stuff that I didn't have and didn't think I could have. Actually, we can all kind of make it work and have the life that we want to.
Yes, then I say thank you, Sarah, for joining me today. It was an awesome conversation, and I think the biggest learning I have is the future isn't something that simply happens to us. I think we have to act, and we have a lot of people that can help us to act right. And yeah, um, thank you so much for being here, and have a nice day.
Well, thank you so much for having me.